Good morning, everyone. Hopefully you are well. Let's just get my headphones sorted out. Hopefully you guys are well. Welcome to another Sunday Live. We do a 20 question mock test and answer any questions that you may have about theory test or driving test. I can hear myself in the background. Apologies for last week not being here. Didn't feel well. Still don't feel 100%, but I didn't want to miss 2 weeks on the trot. So I'll see if I can get through this without coughing the place down. So let me get my windows up to make sure you guys see me going out live. Hopefully, YouTube. Right, so hopefully you guys are well. If you guys got any questions, feel free to put them in the comment section and put a semicolon. And that way it makes it just a lot easier for me to find. Otherwise, it looks like just a comment section and I can't see anything on screen. So I don't know if this is going out live. That's not good. Right, I've just got to assume it's going out live. I've done a tech check this morning. Everything was good, so I've got to assume it is YouTube. Right, so I hope it's going out live. Everything seems okay on my end. Just a couple of notices coming through. All right, so let's say good morning to some of you guys if you are here. Let's take a look. Good morning. I can't attempt to pronounce that. But good morning, I've not seen you before, so I'm assuming you're new, so welcome. Welcome to you. Jay Silva, good morning to you. Again, these are like all new names, so good morning to you guys, all you newcomers, welcome. If you're new, let me know that you're new. Type in what you've been up to. Have you got a test coming up? Have you just started studying? Have you taken one before? Good morning, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Right, so yeah, I apologise for last week. As I said, I didn't feel well at all. I was in bed all weekend. I just thought, you know what, let me rest. And I've been taking it easy this week as well. And I'm actually going to take next week off as well because I'm still not 100%, which is not the best. Good morning. All right, so for those of you that are new, the way we normally do this, I'll go through an overview because I don't assume that you guys know how the theory test works because I get a lot of messages. I've just booked my theory test, but I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do, don't know how it works. I'm astounded that you guys are booking tests and have no idea how it works. How do you book a test for something you don't know how it works? So on the lives, I don't assume that you guys know how it works. Esther, you got a test coming up. Again, if you got a test coming up, ask any questions in the comment section. Let me send you in there nice and confident. I can answer it for you. That's what the lives are about. You can ask your personal question and I can answer it personal to you. Whereas on the YouTube channel, it's a video. That's a general answer that sort of tries to fit everybody. Tuesday. Well, I wish you the best with that, Julia. Again, I hope that you ask questions. Nurse Jenny, again, new. Got a test on Wednesday. Again, ask any questions away while we are here. It's good to see all these new faces here. I took my test on the 26th of November. I scored 47 in the theory and 42 in hazard perception. If you scored 42 in hazard perception, it's because you don't know what a hazard is. That's why the score's low. And you booked one for the 9th of January, which gives you enough time to get that up to speed. But don't neglect the questions. When you go for your second test, the questions will be different because the questions are random. So just because you passed it on the first attempt, it doesn't mean to say you'll pass it on the second attempt. So you still need to keep the training up on the questions, but you need to understand what hazards are so you don't get 42, because 42 is a low score for a hazard perception. If you know what a hazard is, if you don't know what a hazard is, then it fits in line with that. But I'm going to do a hazard perception demonstration at the end of the 20 question mock test. All right, let me do the overview first. Good winter and start 5 weeks ago, 24th of November. 50 out of, well done to you, congrats. 50 out of 50, the magical 50, well done. I don't know why this is so big. Let me just shrink that. No why that's so big. That's how it should be. And 61 and 75 out of 75, well done to you. And there you go. Took your advice of studying all the categories and understanding them. That's what I would suggest you do, is do the categories individually. And let me do the overview first, and then I can tell you why you want to do the categories individually. So the test is multiple choice, 50 questions. As I mentioned earlier on, they are random. So if there's 10 of you in the room, it's 10 different individual tests going on. So someone might have 5 road signs, another person may just have 3 road signs. And this is why I suggest you do each category, because you don't know what how it's going to be made up, whether it's going to be 5 road signs, 2 road signs, 3 vulnerable road users, or 8 vulnerable road users. So if you are weak across the board, you have a stronger chance of failing. Whereas if you're strong across the board, the 14 categories, you have a better chance of passing. And that's the reason why. And the categories, there's 14 different categories the theory test is made up from, and your 50 questions will be drawn from those 14 categories. I am still getting emails, WhatsApps, texts that I went to took my test, failed my test, blah, 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 and the questions were different. Where do I find these questions? You're not going to find those questions. The apps that you guys are using, whether it's apps, books, online, those questions are sampled questions. They are not the real questions. I'll say again, they are sampled questions. All the DVSA has done is release sampled questions that we can use as trainers to give you a taste of what it's going to be like. When you go for the real test, the questions will be worded slightly differently, and there's going to be questions that you've never ever seen before. That's the reason why I keep saying you need to understand it. So when they word the question differently or give you a question that you've never seen before, because you understand what they're asking for, then obviously you're going to get the right answer. Time. You have 57 minutes in total for the questions, which is more than enough time. I suggest you read the questions very carefully, read the answers very carefully. If you're not sure, flag it, move on. And at the end of the 50th question, you go back and just go through the flagged ones. Once you've done the 50th question, you move on to the hazard perception, which is 14 videos. 13 of them have single hazards, as in score 5 max. One of them's got a double score 10, 2 5s. And you need 44 out of 75 on that. They're all CGIs when you go as well. On the apps, there's a combination of CGIs and real life clips. And what you're looking for in terms of the answers, you're looking for safety. The answer has to lead to safety. And if it doesn't lead to safety, then you're looking for a controlled outcome, which is normally your first aid and motorway questions. And if you need training to understand all of that, I do run a study camp, which the doors were supposed to close back 2 weeks ago because I'm not being well and everything is not in place. The doors are going to be left open until the end of the year because I just ain't got time to put everything into place. Like I said, I'm not 100% well. And end of the year is where I do my stats based on all the boot camp stuff that I've done. So I got the figures and what I can tweak for next year to improve it if it can be improved. So I tend to do my stats at the end of the year. So I'm not going to have time to do that. And the study camp, the way it should be done. So I've left the doors open for that. We are going live in the study camp today for the students in there at 1 o'clock. So when I finish this, I'm going to grab something to eat. And then I'm going to go in the study camp live and do a Sunday session with those guys as well. And I'm going to check their study because they started to take mock tests on the Ferry Test Pro app. So I'm going to take a look at their results. I've been doing that during the week, even though I'm not well. And some of the results are kind of positive, to be fair. So I know some of them got a test coming up over the next couple of weeks. So my job is to make sure they're on point. But if you do need extra help, you've got the 30-day study camp. You can jump onto my website or the link in the description for that. But like I said, I'm going to leave the doors open to the end of the year because I just haven't got time to go in there and close the doors and do what I need to do. But you're going to get my full support until you pass, basically, with that. So that is that. So let me get up to speed with you guys. Beverly, how are you? Hopefully you're well. Marja 666, not seen your name before, so welcome to you. Again, 50 out of 50, well done. Today's the day where you guys are hitting the 50s, well done. That's massive. To be able to get 50 out of 50 on the real test is massive. In some of my videos, I've been struggling to get 50 out of 50, so well done to you guys. Test is on the 22nd, just before Christmas, so hopefully that goes well for you, Michelle. I've not seen your name before, so welcome. Good morning, blessings. I need help with my Ferry test. I get lots of these messages and I don't understand why you guys keep messaging me and saying I need help with my Ferry test. Just saying you need help. I'm not a mind reader. You got to give me a bit more than that. What, for the questions, for category, for the hazard perception? You need to give me details. I just can't just turn around, I need help, and I'm supposed to be magically sort your problems out. Give me the information. I'll work on information. Start watching the videos yesterday, Esther. Hopefully you've learned something new. If you have just started to watch. Sorry, I don't understand this. Third time, so you're taking it for the third time. You said the hazard perception's fine. It's a little bit more than, I don't know why I did that. It's a little bit more than that, because if you get 1 or 2 questions wrong, you would pass. So it's not always 1 or 2 questions wrong, unless you mean it's, I'm keeping it simple. It's not, you said, follow your tips, but the other questions, something my problem, it's always 1 or 2 questions wrong. It can't be 1 or 2 questions wrong, because if you get 1 or 2 questions wrong, you're getting 48, 49. You're failing because you said it's your third attempt, which means you're getting 8+ questions wrong, which means there's an issue. If you keep saying to yourself it's only 1 or 2 questions wrong, you're going to keep failing because you're telling your brain it's only 1 or 2 questions, so you're aiming short. You need to aim long. And what I mean by that, you're getting 8 questions wrong consistently, hence why you're failing. You need to work out why you're getting those 8 questions wrong. That's where you're going wrong overall. So that's what you need to do. All right, let me do the mock test, because that's why you guys are here, and I'll catch up with the comments as we go along. Share screen. Right, for those of you that are new, we read the question first. What's the main cause of skidding? This is A, this is B, this is C, this is D. And the question number. Please put the question number and the answer. So if you think it's C, the weather, put 1C. And the reason for that, there's a delay between me and YouTube, you and YouTube. I'll need to make sure we're always on the same question number for me to show it on screen. So type your answers in the comment section and I'll keep abreast of what's going on there. Margaret, congratulations on passing 45 out of 50 and 55 as a perception. You're welcome. Thank you for coming to the live. Let me know how you got on. Hi, my name is Carleen. Hello, Carleen. Again, I need help with my Ferry test. What do you need help with? I took my Ferry test on the 27th. Patsy K. Congratulations on passing. And again, thank you for coming to the live and let me know how you got on. I'm going to do a demonstration at the end. If you can't stay to the end, watch the replay. And all my lives have replays on them now. So all my lives has a perception, because I've noticed that's a massive thing for you guys. So if you can't stay to the end, watch the replay on any of the lives. My theory test is on the first week of February. Why so far? That's the one day before my birthday. My birthday's on the 2nd. Why so far away? Unless you can't get a date, I wouldn't be. Well, life may get in a way. I don't know what your life is like, but that's too far away. February. And then you're going to lose about a week, 2 weeks over Christmas. And then you got January's 4 weeks. That's too far away. Unless there's a reason for that. But you got one booked. You do you. 42 hazard perception. Know what hazard. I know what hazard is. I think it's just the way I click the mouse is the issue. It's not. You don't know what hazard is. If you know what hazard is, it wouldn't be the way you're clicking. It's very easy to say to click the mouse. If you know what a problem is, you don't have the problem. It's like saying I know what the problem is, but I still got the same problem. That doesn't add up. It's not the way you're clicking the mouse. It's because you don't know when to click for the hazard, which means you don't know when the hazard is or when it starts. You've got to be honest with yourself. Selena, good morning to you. Hope you're well. How's your new instructor turning out? Right. Let's get some of these ones up. I've got a D in there. Sorry, I changed it to 1B, which is fine. That's what you want to do, is double check your answers, and if you think it's wrong, change it. That's why I say when you're going along on the rule test, flag it. Because you can always go back and change it. 1B. Yeah, it's the driver. The driver left it late in all conditions. The common answer is C, but it's driver error. You're on a motorway. A lorry has stopped in the right-hand lane. What should you do when you see this sign on the lorry? I always suggest, if it's got images, read the question very carefully. Look at the image, because sometimes there's clues. There's actually a clue in there. And then go to your options. Marja, studied every category, watched your videos, I've done my test Thursday, 50 out of 50, number 50 out of 50, 63. 75. Well done to you, congrats. Thank you for coming to the live and let me know how you got on. You guys are hitting 50s, man. Is it advisable I book for an instructor before the theory test? No. Study for the theory test. Instructor doesn't change anything. I would recommend taking driving lessons along with your theory test, but it's not essential. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because 2 reasons. One, you're going to use the theory while you're driving, so it reinforces it, and the driving is going to teach you stuff. And not only that, by the time you pass the theory test, you're further down the road with your driving, which means you can go and book a driving test straight away, give or take. But obviously, if you don't take driving lessons, you pass the theory test, and then you got to wait another 3-4 months to get ready for a driving test, then another 3-4 months to book a driving test. So that's the only reason why. But you don't need an instructor for the theory test. Theory test is self-study, but it helps. I see another one that says, I need help with my theory test. What do you need help with? I am surviving. Let's put it that way. I'm struggling health-wise, but I'm surviving. I'm alive. That's the most important thing. But thank you for asking. You are welcome, Raheem. And I appreciate you coming to the live and letting me know, because I've not seen your name before. So welcome to the live and thank you for letting me know. I can't access the bootcamp sessions. If you can't access the bootcamp session, send us. Which one did you sign up? Did you sign up for the bootcamp or the study camp? Either way, send an email. You got the email that's exclusive to you guys. Send an email. I am going to be around today because I'm going in there live. If you're with the study camp, we're going live at 1:00. If it's the boot camp, you have access to the recordings. But send an email to the support team and we'll get that sorted out today for you, because I am actually going to be working today. Marcel, good morning. Beverly's fine. Glad to know you're fine, Beverly. Good morning. I need we've has perceptions. Doesn't make sense to me. I'm assuming you mean you need help with has perceptions. I've not seen your artistry. I can't pronounce your first name, but artistry. Good morning, welcome. Have a test on Tuesday. Again, if you've got any questions that you need answering, ask away while you can, while we're live. Only if they come up on the mock tests. Road markings is visual. I do cover it in the boot camp in detail because of visual, but I haven't got the visuals with me. But if it comes up on the theory test, if it comes up on the mock test, then I can go over a bit more detail. Well done to you for smashing it. What are we on twos? I'll get the twos up and I'll catch up with your comments in a minute. Where's the twos? Right, here's the first one, I think. 2A. Right, so the majority of you gone for A's. As I said, sometimes when you look at the images, there's sometimes clues in the questions and clues in the answer in the images, and arrows facing left. So you just want to look for the one that's got a left in it, and it's past the lorry on the left on this one. And the reason why they're saying that, because technically you shouldn't be what we call undertaking on the left. You shouldn't be passing on the left. That's the reason why the question gets asked. What's the reason for the hatch area along the centre of this road? What's the reason for it? How do I change my driving test to an earlier date? Keep looking for cancellations. Use some of the apps that's out there. Test Shift is one that my students use. And they may be able to change it earlier. But it's no different from booking a driving test in the first place. Just jump on and you're trying to look, see if you can get a cancellation basically. But the app may be better. Artistry, I'm glad it helped you. Thank your friend, by the way, for sharing it, because you guys are sharing and recommending it to other people, so I appreciate that. Hannah, good morning. 41 out of 50. Ooh, doing it again next week. You don't say when you failed. Good morning, I went for my test. Oh, you did last week and I failed, scored 41 out of 50. So that's 9 questions wrong. That's at least 5 categories. Multiple choice and 62 has perception. Has perception's fine if you've got 62. And doing it again next week, 7 days later. Only you know how much studying you're doing with that, but with 9 questions wrong, can you recover from 9 questions in the space of a week? I don't know how much studying you've done. But if your test is next week, I would definitely be looking at the categories you got the questions wrong in. You would have got at least 5 categories. I would definitely restudy those 5 categories again, for sure. Passed on the 3rd of December, which was a couple of days ago. So well done to you. good windows. I'll come back to that one in a minute. Let me just start these quickly. So I'm just trying to find the freeze. We're on freeze, aren't we? Free, let's find the freeze. There we go. There's the first slot. Right, so the common answer's A. A, what's A supposed to? Yeah, with it says separate traffic flow in opposite direction. So you're going up on this side. With images, you should always go up with your images, by the way. It makes life a lot easier to understand it. And then the cars are coming down on the other side. Just in case you didn't know, the middle bit is the hatch markings. So the middle bit, so it separates traffic flowing opposite direction, or it protects traffic turning right, would be another option on the real test. And that's what I'm saying about understanding it. A. What should you do if you start to feel drowsy while you're driving on a motorway? Oh, sorry, I've been muted. Number 4. Let me Number 4, what should we do if you feel drowsy? So the common answer is B. Thank you for those guys putting a comment. I'm muted. Sorry about that. Yeah, I got this coughing fit every so often, so I've got to mute. Thank you for the Francis, are you going to join us today? I'm sorry, I've seen all the mutes. I can hear you now. As I said, there's a delay on YouTube, so I didn't see it until late, but I apologise. I didn't say nothing kid special anyway. You didn't miss anything major. I was just answering the comments. Sorry, 4B. Open a window and stop as soon as it's safe and legal. Yeah, you can't stop on the motorway. When it says safe and legal, they're talking about a service station. You've got to come off the motorway. But open the window so you get fresh air. It livens you up, but don't turn the heating up, because a lot of people say you turn the heating up. The heating only makes you more drowsy with that. Which sign means no motor vehicles allowed? Again, if you look at the images, there's a massive clue in there with that. Right, so let me go back to these comments. June, wow. Was that just a mix-up or something? Well, it's gone from January to June. The questions were really twisted. I love that. Yeah, as I keep saying, the questions are going to be worded differently. You may get lucky and get stuff that you already know. It's worded very similar to the apps, and you may get questions that you've never ever seen before. It is a little bit luck of the draw of the day, but you can make your own luck by understanding what they're asking for. As I keep saying, if you understand it, it doesn't make a difference how they word it. I appreciate you sharing that now, because like I said, it's like when I say that to people, they think I'm just trying to scare them, or it's only when they sit the test and they realise the questions are worded differently. Thank you for coming. I've not seen your name before, so welcome first of all, foremost, and thank you for coming to live. Let me know that you've passed it. Appreciate that. Right, you registered for the boot camp and I stopped at session 7, but I can't access the videos again. Right, I probably know why. The reason why you registered for the boot camp, the way our training platform works is Kajabi. They give 28 days access at a time. So I've got to assume your 28 days is run out. So what I'll do is, let me write this down before I forget. What I'll do is when this session finishes, I'll go in and grant you another 28 days. Is that the name you're using when you signed up? If that's not the name you're using, then send in the email, because I can't, obviously, I won't know who you are if that's not the name that you're using on the original sign up grant number 28 days. Can't spell. Another. So what I'll do is go in. That's probably the reason why if you can't access or see the videos is because your 28 days is up. So I'll grant you another 28 days. It's just the way Kajabi works, unfortunately. There's nothing we can do about that. Can we do the questions? I don't know what that means. The 14 categories is on the apps. It's broken down on the apps. You can use the app to do that. The boot camp or the 30-day study camp now is in the link in the description of this video. So I'm just trying to find the 5s. How many of you are here? 71, wow. There we go. Here's the first one. B is the common choice. Yeah, if you break it down, which sign means no motor vehicles, i.e. more than 2 different motor vehicles, and you got motorbike, motor car, that's the reason why. So it's like I said, sometimes there's clues in the question, clues in the images that helps you out. What does third-party insurance cover? Right, I took my theory test and got 41, and 56 has a perception, so 56 has perception, not a problem. Booked a new test for Thursday. He didn't say when you took the first one, but anyway, for Thursday the 11th, and I'm a bit tense now. I'm worried about the multiple choice questions. You should, I won't say be worried, but you should always, this is for everybody, you should always be concerned about the questions, because as I keep saying, you don't know what questions are going to come up. Hazard perception, once you know what a hazard is, it doesn't make a difference what video you watch. A hazard's a hazard. But with the questions, you don't know what question is going to come up. But you don't say when you took the first one, so I don't know what the time is between the first one and this one. But you got 9 questions wrong. That suggests you got a minimum of 5 categories wrong. So again, I would restudy those categories and then go again. If your test was something like, the first attempt was something like last week, is it enough time to be ready by Thursday is the question I'd be asking if you was my student. But yeah, I would start off with studying the categories that you got the questions wrong in. So 41, 9 questions wrong. You're looking at least a minimum 5 categories. If you've got the paperwork in front of you or nearby, find it and then type it into the comments section. We can take it from there. Again, I need help with my theory test. All questions, please. I'm struggling with. I answered this one, but I think my mic was off. You're saying you're struggling with all the questions. There's only one way around that, is to study all the questions. That's the simplest way to go. What you're struggling with is what you need to search within yourself. There's always one thing to say, yeah, I'm struggling with the questions, but what are you struggling with? You have to go a little bit deeper than that. But I can't help you with all the questions, not on the live or the videos. That's something you're going to have to... Sorry, let me turn this fan off. Okay. It comes from the microphone. That's something you're going to need to do yourself. But if you join a study camp, then you're going to get personal help as well. But can't pass the test. I passed my... Congratulations on passing. 44. It's a low pass, but it's a pass. I would definitely restudy some of the categories on that, especially if it's road signs and rules of the road, because you need road signs and rules of the road for your driving lessons. If you was my student, even though you got 44, pass it. I'd always congratulate my pupils first, but then I look at their sheet to see what 6 questions they got wrong, because like I said, road signs and road markings is massive for a driving test, obviously. What are we on? 6. Sammy Trappers, how are you? Sneaking in through the back door there. You're here? Luscious Love, you are here. Welcome. There's a B there. Common answer seems to be an A. Let me come back to that. Right, A. What, damage. Third party covers damage to the other vehicle. Third party insurance covers damage to other vehicles. What did I see? A B, wasn't it? A B. All damage and injuries. Vast, comprehensive. The question's what third party covers, not comprehensive insurance. What's the purpose of a catalytic converter? Mimi forever. I've not seen your name before, so welcome to you first and foremost. 47 out of 50, 65 out of 75. Well done. Congratulations on passing. Thank you for coming to the live sessions. Let me know. Appreciate that. I think I've done this one already. Done that one. Scared is good. Just don't let it control you. Congratulations on pass. Again, I've not seen your name before, so thank you for coming to the live and let me know how you got on. I appreciate that. Again, I've not seen your name before, so welcome to you. I just want to say 50 out of 50, 55%. Well done. There's lots of 50s out of 50s. Well done to you guys. To go in there and get 50 out of 50s, amazing. Well done. I have my tests coming up on the 18th of December, which is about 2 weeks away. So you got next Sunday, health permitting. Again, any questions you got during the week when you're studying, jot them down, bring them along. Let me answer it, send you in there nice and confident on the 18th. Let me come back to that. That's the wrong way of looking at it. Let me come back to that comment. Is it Chi-Chi? Let me come back to that comment. 7. Good morning. Don't worry about your hair now. No detention. We don't do detentions here. So you're all right. 7C. I'm assuming you mean 7. You got 6, 7. I'm assuming you mean 7C there. I just give the advice. You guys got to retain it and then deliver it under pressure. So it's down to you. You just took the advice and applied it. So congrats. I'll get my cursor on this side. C was a common answer. Yep. What must you do if poor health affects your driving? All right, let me deal with this. Chi. I've booked my theory test. Right, boom, done. While waiting, I'm taking my driving lessons. Okay, again, fine. I don't want to continue after my first lessons. I'm assuming you booked 10 lessons in advance. I don't know how long it would take to get a driving practical test. That's the wrong way of looking at it. I'll tell you why. I don't know what driving experience you've got. Let's say, for example, you've taken the 10 driving lessons. Ideally, you want to be doing 2-hour lessons. Okay, so whether you're doing 1 hour or an hour and a half, but ideally 2 hours. So you book 10 lessons, 5 twos are 10. Let's just assume if I'm your instructor, you're taking 5 2-hour lessons, that's 5 weeks. I'm assuming, again, I don't know nothing about you, so I'm assuming you've got no driving experience at this point or some driving experience. But at the end of the 10 hours, you are not ready for a driving test. What you're saying is you're going to stop taking driving lessons because you don't know how long it takes to get a driving test day. And then you're going to pass your theory test because you've already got that booked. And then you're going to look for a driving test date. And then you're going to resume your lessons. The problem you got with that, there's no guarantee you're going to be ready for that driving test now that you've booked it. So you're looking at it as the wrong way. You want to keep taking driving lessons and be ready for a driving test date, even though you may not have a driving test date. Only then, when you're ready, you can stop taking driving lessons. And then as the test day gets closer, refresh where you're at. It's a lot easier to refresh to take a test date than trying to get ready for a test date. Because if you're my student and you wasn't ready for that test date, you ain't taking that test in my car, which means you've now lost your test date anyway. So it's the wrong way of looking at it. You want to get ready first for a test date and then maybe stop taking driving lessons until you get a test date. That's not the way you want to work. Get a test date, then work to get ready. Because if you're not ready, any decent instructor won't take you. So hopefully that makes sense. 8. And as for anyone out there, I know it's hard to get a test date, but you want to make sure you are ready for a test before you consider stop taking lessons. Because you're putting yourself under pressure trying to get ready for a test, especially if the instructor can't fit you in. Two hours per week driving lessons. So you're doing it the right way. So 2 hours a week, that's at 10 hours. If you're doing 2 hours every week, that's 5 weeks when your 10 hours is finished. But as I said, I don't know what driving experience you've got. That 10 hours may be more than enough because you had driving experience before, but if you're not ready for a driving test, I wouldn't be stopping. I've not seen your name before, sorry. So welcome. I'm just trying to multitask in my head. So welcome to you. And congratulations on passing your theory test, by the way. 8A is what we're going for. Yeah, you got to let them know if your health changes because they may revoke your license or put restrictions on your license depending on your health issue. What's most likely to distract you while you're driving? Most likely is the key word there. I struggle with signals when leaving a roundabout at TJ. That doesn't make sense. I struggle with signals when leaving a roundabout and... Sorry, my brain's just not picking this up. I struggle with and T junctions. What's the struggle? I'm not understanding what the struggle is. A roundabout is a junction. Well, mini roundabouts are junctions. I'm not understanding what the struggle is. Let me keep it very simple. And this is a way that I explain to my students. Mini roundabouts are junctions. if it's a T-junction or a crossroads, if the examiner or your instructor says turn left or turn right on approach, you give a signal turn left, turn right. As simple as that. On the mini roundabout, you don't signal to come off a roundabout. So that's not an issue. And T-junctions, you don't signal to come off. So it's the signal on approach. So if you hear the words turn left, turn right on approach to a junction, you're going to give that signal. And if the examiner says at the roundabout or junction, you're going to go straight ahead. There is no signal. I'm not understanding why you're struggling with this. It's very, very straightforward. Turn left, turn right, give a left signal, give a right signal. Going straight, no signal whatsoever. Unless there's something more to it, let me know. But it is pretty straightforward with it. Just literally just listen to what you've been told to do and then do it. And D is the common answer. D, 9D. Yeah, using a mobile is going to distract you. You're splitting your concentration levels. How should you dispose of a used vehicle battery? Right, let's do this. I got 42. Okay, first of all, you got 65. Let's look at the positives. You got 65 hazard perception at 75, so that's a really, really, really high score. So you got hazard perception sorted. You know what that what hazard is. You got 42 on your questions, which means you got 8 questions wrong. So again, based on 8 questions wrong, you're looking at 5 categories minimum that you got marks wrong. You're saying you failed by 1. Nope, you needed 1 to pass, but you got 8 questions wrong. So you need to ask yourself why you got 8 questions wrong. That's the way to look at it, not 1 failed by short, fall by 1 short. You said you put in serious efforts in my preparation, yet failed. Seen it too many times where students do 1 hour, 2 hours at a time studying. Just because you study for 1 hour, 2 hours, it doesn't mean to say the stuff is going in and sticking. You're looking at structured learning. There's too many times I've seen students do, like I said, an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. I'm actually seeing it in the study camp. When I looked in the students' records, I see them doing an hour, 20 minutes. And not passing at the mock test. Just because you study for an hour, it doesn't mean say it's quality. You're looking for quality over quantity. So it's better to do 15, 20 minutes solid training and knowing what you're trying to get from that 15, 20 minutes, whether it's better understanding, whether you struggle on road signs, so at the end of 20 minute training, you understand what road signs are. You have to set a goal, a target, so you know you're getting better. I don't know you, but again, I'm generalizing based on my experience. Someone who says they're putting serious effort, I'm not saying you haven't, someone who says that you are studying for it, but technically, subconsciously, you're memorizing answers. And I'm going to tell you why I'm saying that. When you study on the apps, the same questions come up over and over and over again. And if you get it wrong, at some point, you're going to know what the answer is because you got it wrong so many times, but you don't understand why you got it wrong. So when you go for the real test and it's worded differently, because you don't understand the why, the brain doesn't recognize what the answer is because it's worded differently. And that's the reason why you're getting 42. So as much as you're putting serious effort in, the question you got to ask yourself, is it quality effort? And that's the difference. So hopefully that helps. There's no one going to pronounce your name, but so welcome first and foremost, and never seen your name before. So good morning to you anyway. 40, you passed your theory, 46 out of 50, 67 out of 75. Well done to you. No problem. You are welcome, and thank you for coming to the live and let me know how you got on. I appreciate it. Let's grab the 10s. So I'm just trying to find the 10s on there. There we go. What some of you, let me deal with the 10s first before I go into that, because I'm struggling to multitask. Right, 10D is the common. Yeah, get them to do it. Take it to your local recycling centre. They'll dispose of it properly. You've been driving in fog. What must you do when visibility improves? Shaniqui Grand is, hopefully I'm saying that correct. But anyway, I've not seen your name before, so welcome. I didn't pass yesterday, 42 out of 50, 60 out of 75. I'm so upset. 60 out of 75. Passed has perception, 42. Again, 8 questions wrong. Upset. That's fine. I'll say to my students, feel sorry for yourself. You said yesterday, which was Saturday. If you want to feel sorry for yourself for the next 48 hours, feel sorry for yourself. I always say to my student, and then once you stop feeling sorry for yourself, get back on it. You got 8 questions wrong, 5 categories minimum. Restudy those categories, and then think about booking another test. Don't dwell on it. As I said, the test only goes 2 ways: pass it or fail it. In your case, you failed it. You're within your rights to feel upset, but on a positive note, you taking it, and you now have data, so you now know you can pass a hazard perception. 60 out of 75, boom, nailed it. Now you just need to get the other 8 questions you got wrong correct. And that's where you go back to the drawing board, because you got the data, the 5 categories you got the questions wrong in, or more if it was not on average. And then you go again. And you turn that negativity into positivity. That's the way you guys want to deal with it. I'm not saying don't feel upset. We all feel upset if we don't get what we want, but don't dwell on it. Use it as a positive. And hopefully you get it for the next time. The question asks, when should you signal to your next lane when you leave a roundabout? And what lane will you be after leaving a roundabout? That's a lot of information for... The question asks, when should you signal to your next lane? Without seeing the question, it's very hard to answer, because I don't know where you're going. Because if you're in a right-hand lane, then you should be obviously in the right-hand lane of a 2-lane roundabout. If it's a single-track roundabout, then you signal after the exit you no longer need. So there's no signal on approach. And then you pass the exit after the one you don't need. But your wording doesn't tell me where you're going. It just says the question asks, when should you signal to your next lane when leaving a roundabout? What lane will you be after leaving a roundabout? When you leave a roundabout, you should be in the left-hand lane. That's standard. Stay left when possible. I can only give you a general answer for that based on that. You signal after the exit you no longer need. So once you pass the exit you no longer need, then you will signal left. You should be in the left-hand lane when coming off on a roundabout. That's the basic guidelines I can give you based on the information you've given me. I've seen an optional tuning a radio while driving for a question of likely distractions while driving. Let me come back to that. Let me do these 11s. Sorry, when you put it like that, it makes so much more sense. Okay, glad that works. I appreciate your response, very clear and helpful. All glad that's helpful. 11. The one, sorry, let me do this first. I keep starting something and saying something, and then all these answers come through. When you guys are studying, you've got to be very careful. Again, because you're studying on the apps, there's only 700 and something questions. So you start to see the same questions, which means you're getting the right answers. Some of you are getting 50 out of 50, but it gives you a false sense of security because you're memorizing the answers, and it's not deliberate. It's just because the same questions keep coming up. If someone keeps saying to you the same thing over and over, you're going to remember it. And that's the downside with the apps as well. That's the reason why I say study the categories and get a test book. Some of you, I think there's one student on here, so they are scared to take a test. But when you keep studying, or let's just say for argument's sake, you took 3 months to book a theory test and you studied properly for the 3 months, you're going to go over those 770 odd questions, God knows how many times, and you just automatically know what the answer is. It's really important that you understand what they are asking, not even understand what the answer is. You have to understand what they're asking first, and then you have to understand why the answer is correct. So when you go for the real test, you fully understand the ins and outs. And like I said, most of you are failing because you're memorizing it. And I repeat, it's not deliberate. It's just the way the app makes it. And that's why you need structured learning. 15, 20 minutes is better than an hour at a time. And that's why you see most of you, especially today, are getting 41s and 42s. I just missed it by 1, just missed it by 2. No, you didn't. You got 8 questions wrong. That's a lot of questions when you break it down like that. So that's the reason, one of the reasons why I suggest you don't take 2 months, 3 months to do a theory test. Hence why the 30-day study camp, 30 days is the sweet spot, because you're not going to cover 770 questions 3-4 times over. Sorry, you guys have gone for A, I think it was A. Yeah, if the fog is gone, switch off, because the fog lights, and this is what I mean by understanding. Do you know why you guys switch off the fog lights other than the fog lights? Because the fog is cleared. The reason why you switch off the fog lights is so because the fog lights are bright enough to dazzle other road users in broad daylight. And those of you that understand what dazzle is temporary blindness. So if they worded this question different, why do you need to turn the fog lights off? You now know the fog lights are bright enough to blind drivers in broad daylight. And that's what I mean about understanding, deep understanding. Your vehicle broke down on the hard shoulder of a motorway but has now been repaired. How should you rejoin the main carriageway? Right, this one. I've seen an option of tuning a radio while driving for questions of likely distraction while driving. They do have a question with that. And that's 100% true. As I said, it depends how the question's worded, depending on the answer. It's not always going to be the same answer. They've also got one, what should you do before driving into a tunnel? And it is tune into the radio, local radio frequency, which means you can use your radio, but you're not going to be distracted. See how it's different. So there is a question, you're 100% correct, that says the radio could be the distraction, but there's also a question that tells you to tune to the radio frequency before going into a tunnel while the car's in motion. So it's not a distraction. Again, it comes down to understanding. Yeah, I think, sorry, that's when the mic was on mute. This is who I was talking about. It says, "Hi, Mr. I'm scared about doing my theory test, and that's why I have not booked my test yet. But I've been studying on the app. Please respond to this." Didn't hear when you was muted. Right. This is when I was talking about the person that was asking the question. It was you. I was talking about. You're scared. Standard. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't let the fear stop you from booking a test, because you have to take one at some point. But my point here with this one, again, using the 3 months, for example, you study for 3 months. If you did it on a regular basis using apps, you're going to come across all 700 odd questions again and again and again. And you're going to memorize the answers again, not intentionally, because there's nothing the brain can do. It just sees the question again and again. It's going to recognize the answer. And that's the reason why I say 30 days, in my experience, that's why I've done the 30-day boot camp, is the sweet spot. And as I said to you at the beginning, for those of you that was here, I tend to look at the stats of what I did the year before and tweak certain things. And what I've noticed this year from the boot camp, the 5-day boot camp, is structured learning and understanding the questions inside out. That's what I'm tweaked it, and that's where the study camps come from. And I'll use the data from the next 3 or 4 weeks for the new year to tweak the study camp for it to be on point for next year. And what I'm noticing more and more, you guys are studying an hour, 20 minutes longer, but you're memorizing the answers. I repeat, not deliberately, but the brain cannot do nothing about it if it keeps seeing the same questions and seeing the same answers. That's just human nature. We are on 12. Let's do the 12s. You are welcome. Congratulations on passing. I got A here. That's DVSA website. The same way you bought a theory test, you just click, rather than click theory test, you click driving test. But like I said, everybody's struggling to book a driving test on that 12D. Someone for A. No, you're never going to do that. The reason why you build your speed up in a hard shoulder so you can get up to speed, because it's 70 miles an hour. Remember, lorries can only do 60, so you need to be doing 60 plus so the lorry doesn't catch you and wipe you out. That's the reason why you gain speed in a hard shoulder. You're leaving your vehicle parked on a road and unattended. When may you leave the engine running? When may you leave the engine running? Yeah, which is 100%, which is 100% true. I do this for the last 10 years when we used to do it in the classroom. Now I do it online. I think it's about 2 years. Been doing it online. I still read, and I do it every week. I still have to read the question. I've got dyslexia, so that changes things slightly, but I still have to read the questions 2 or 3 times. If you've watched my videos, you've seen me read the question 2 or 3 times. You've seen me read the answers 2 or 3 times. And that's someone who does it every single week. So if I'm doing it, there's nothing wrong with you guys doing it. Sometimes I feel like, again, when we do the study camp and we do the live sessions, students are scared to reread the question. I'm not understanding it. I would rather reread the question 3, 4, 5 times if I have to get it right, rather than read it once and failing it. That doesn't make sense to me. There's no embarrassment reading it 2 or 3 times. If you don't get it, you don't get it. It's live. But read the questions carefully, read the answers carefully. That's why they give you 57 minutes. But some of you, it's like going in there 15 minutes, 20 minutes and finishing it. I failed it. I don't know why you failed it, because you've done it in 15, 20 minutes. Take your time. I have my test in a few months and I don't know how to revise. I keep postponing it. The question you got to ask yourself here is, why don't you know how to revise? Revising is personal. You can do books, you can do apps online, take classes. There's lots of things out there. The question you want to be looking at is yourself and asking yourself why you don't know how to revise. Sometimes, again, you guys have to look within yourself for the answers. It doesn't always lie in apps and books. It lies outwardly. Inwardly. So where you guys have to look at yourself and say, well, hold on a minute, why am I keep getting the same question wrong? Why don't I understand X? Why don't I understand Y? And that's what I work on with my students, especially when it comes to driving. It's mental. Sometimes your brain just acts differently. You need to tap into that to work out what's going to work for you, because we all learn differently. And that's one of the reasons why the live sessions on YouTube came out, because everyone's different. I can do videos, but the videos is generic. I'm trying to make it for everybody, but on the live, you ask me a question, I answer the question for you personally, as much as I know based on your question. Obviously, I don't know you personally, but if I knew you personally, I can answer even more. And that's why with the people in the study camp, I work with them individually, because it's the brain thing. It's very easy to label someone when you get something wrong, stupid, you can't pass it. Hey, it's easy. It's not that it isn't easy for certain individuals. It can be really difficult. A is what you go for. Yeah, never leave the engine run, especially if you wait, because obviously someone can jump in and take your car, and then your insurance is not paying out for that. What can people who live or work in towns and cities do to help urban pollution levels? The theory test is timed, and that's why it felt you could do it in 15 minutes or more. Not to get logged out of the system. That's one way of looking at it, but then you've got a busy road, for example, with lots of cars coming. You can still cross with cars coming, but you wouldn't do that. It's how your brain interprets things. Yes, you're 100% correct. It's timed. Doesn't mean that you have to do it in 15 minutes. Like I said, example, you've got a busy road, cars coming both ways. Would you cross a busy road like that? Or would you wait for a zebra crossing, or would you wait for a red traffic light? And the answer is you wait for a red traffic light or wait for a zebra crossing. So the theory test is no different. Just because it gives you 57 minutes, it doesn't mean to say you have to rush it. It's the way the brain interprets the information. And that's why I said you have to look within to get the answer for you. So if you're doing it in 15 minutes, even though you got 57, ask yourself why you're doing it in 15 minutes. Because I wouldn't. And I do this every single week. And my videos are out there as well. You've seen me on the video struggle with certain questions, struggle with certain answers. And I deliberately do not edit that out so you can see the struggle. And that's the reason why I've done it, because it's easy for me to just edit 50 out of 50, 50 out of 50 all the time. That's false information I'm giving you guys. Because it's not always possible to get 50 out of 50. I don't care how good you are. And that's why when the people get 50 out of 50, the students get 50 out of 50, especially today, give them their props, because that's amazing. I'm assuming that's 14. But as I said, everyone's different. You've got to find out what works for you. I can only give the advice. D is what you guys are going for. Yeah, walk or cycle. Obviously, don't drive to the local shop because you're wasting fuel when you can just easily walk and walk back. What does it mean if a sign... See, I'm struggling to read this now. What does it mean if a signs at a bus lane show no time or operation? I would definitely advise rereading the question again and understanding it. Dorian's bootcamp was a big eye opener for me. Thank you for that, Selena. Appreciate it. Hazard perception is 100% correct. That's why I always say I spend more time with my students with the questions, because you don't know what questions are going to come up, and everybody struggles for different categories on the questions. Once you know what a hazard is, It's the same for every video. It's just a different hazard. It's the same thing when I say to my students when we go into the mirror. I'll use the pupil that I had this week because he had autism. And he struggled with roundabouts. He had a massive problem with roundabouts. And when I simplified it with roundabouts are just junctions, which we've been doing since day one on Monday, it clicked for him. Roundabouts are just junctions. It actually simplifies because roundabouts, you just check to the right. With junctions, you got to look left, right, maybe straight ahead if it's a crossroads. So it's simplified. It's just a way of simplifying something when it comes to the hazard perception. So like I said, anything that causes you to slow down or change direction is a hazard. You supply that to all your videos. With the questions now, that could be worded 101 different ways. But if you understand safety, it doesn't make a difference how they word the question. And that's where you guys are struggling to understand the safety aspect. Because some questions, they can give you two that makes it sound like it could be correct. But when you break it down in a smaller detail, one of them does not lead to safety. But yeah, that's a massive point that you've just made there. 15. It always comes down to questions. Right, A is what you go for. Yeah, 24/7. Can't use it at any point. On what type of road surface may anti-lock brakes be ineffective? And this, for those of you that was here at the beginning, this is a spin-off from the very first question about skidding. And the answer was driver error on the very first question about skidding. And this is a spin-off from that question. And I'm going to give you the answer, a different answer to the first one when we answer this one. 16. And again, it comes back down to understanding. Is it Yusra 9262? First of all, thank you for coming to the live. Let me know that you have passed your theory test on the 29th. Appreciate that. 48 out of 50, a really good score. And 61 out of 75 has perception. First time as well. No problem. You are welcome. Right, B seems to be the common answer. Right, on the first one, the first question for those of you that was here, it was about what's likely for the car to skid. It's driver error. 99.9% of skids is driver error. And as I said, this is the spin-off. If they ask the same question, what's the reason for a car skidding, and driver error wasn't there, you're looking for loose. It'd be road surface, sand, gravel, grit, that type of thing, because it's loose. As careful as you are braking, the car can still skid because it's loose. So like I said, it's just a case of how to reword the question on that. Where would you see this road marking? Remember, if you guys got a question, type it in the comment section before we sign out and finish for the day. Thank you for the comment. Appreciate that. Are we on 17? I wasn't well last week. I was really, really sick. So I just literally stayed in bed all day. I started to feel sick after work on Friday. And I normally play football on the Saturday. I didn't even play football. I dropped out. And I just thought, you know what, I couldn't. I was having these, I just felt sick, felt weak, felt sick, and having these coughing fits. And obviously for me to have coughing fits doing a live doesn't go hand in hand. Not to mention I couldn't even sit up straight. So I had to skip last Sunday. I'm still having coughing fits, hence why I keep muting. But I can sit upright. I've got the strength to sit upright. So that's the reason why. So I apologise. And I couldn't even get a message out because I was just too damn weak to do anything. So I don't know whether it's a virus or whatever. That's a B on that. I'm still not 100%, but strong enough to if you're talking about the 30-day study camp, it's in the description below. I'm still strong enough to sit up, which is the most important because I can't sit up, I can't do anything. I'm at 17. This question came up in my test and I think I failed it. Please, can you help me? I don't know what that means. This is speed humps. When you see little triangles on it, it's speed humps. And again, speed humps. Let me see what you guys are going for first of all. All right, you guys. All right, tell you what. Let me do this. Sorry, you guys having a conversation. Let me try to solve that out. Right, you guys are going for A. It's road humps. So they've got road humps. It could be speed humps. It could be a traffic calming measure, which is another way of wording it. Again, all these little terms just for this sign here alone. Again, I stress understanding the different variations of it. So I repeat, road humps they got here, speed humps, or traffic calming measure is the other option they can give you. Which shape is used for a giveaway sign? Well, let me deal with this. Two questions I did wrong were out of the box questions. I never heard of them neither. What do you mean by out of the box questions? If you mean the yellow junction box, that is a theory test question. It is on the mocks as well. But if you don't mean outside the box junction's a yellow junction box. So if it wasn't that, then you need to give me a bit more information on that. But definitely the box junction is in the theory test apps, without a doubt. With that, because I use some of that to explain in some of my videos. But give me a bit more information if that's not the case. I'm at 17. The question came up on my test and I think I failed. Please, can you help me? 17, I just explained that. That was speed humps or traffic calming measures. First question was, where should the head restraint adjust? Head restraint stops you from getting whiplash. And the ears should be in the middle of the headrest to be correctly adjusted. That is a real theory test question, which doesn't come up on the apps. But if you take driving lessons, you would know what the answer is. That's why I say driving lessons, theory test, side by side on that one. and I keep saying, there's going to be questions that you've never heard before or seen before. Oh, D is the common answer. Yes, upside down triangle, which is what we call a unique shape, which is one of its kind. When we say unique, so it's the upside down triangle, which is this one. Why does this junction have a stop sign and a stop line on the road? I think I've done that. I've done that one. Or level with to the eye, something like this. Yeah, the headrest, your ears and eyes should be kind of level with the headrest. So the cushion or the head's on top, depends because everyone's different height. The head's level with the top of the headrest. But when I'm talking to my students, it's normally when I'm teaching in the car, I'm talking about the eyes and ears level with the middle of the headrest. It stops you from getting whiplash or neck injuries. And you should go there to avoid neck injury. Headrest is not for comfort. That's the common answer. It's for comfort. It's not for comfort. It's stopping you. Because when someone hits you in the back, when someone crashes into the back of you, it's impossible for you to not snap your head back. So your head snaps back, but it hits the cushion. So it stops it from going all the way back. That's why. What website is this? And what's the most realistic website to the actual Ferry Test user interface? All websites and apps are the same if it's licensed, because the DVSA only give license questions out. There may be websites out there using their version. Doesn't make it wrong. But like I said, generally when you're using websites and apps, it's the same because I'm licensed, so I've got the database that the apps have and the websites have. But I repeat, the DVSA only gives us the official license theory test questions. They're not the real questions and answers. They're just sampled to give you a taster of how they could word it. That's not a problem at all. Yeah, but like I said, I was just out of it. Couldn't do anything. So like I said, I'm not even 100% better, but I can talk long enough without coughing the place down. That's why I've gone live today. But you got a little while, 6th of January, so you got a couple more lives before we break up for Christmas. What are we on? 19. I don't know what website they're talking about. So if someone's actually using those questions from their website and they want to type it into the comment section, feel free to do that. But I don't know what. It's just the standard triangle that's the other way around. You got this, all triangles are warnings, and then it's just upside down, literally. So you got the pointed bit at the bottom rather than the top. 19, what was it, B? Can't see, so they're saying stop, have a good look. You're going through a long tunnel. What will warn you of congestion or an incident ahead? My instructor. Yeah, again, that's why I say take driving lessons while you're learning the theory, because it reinforces it. Claudia, you're welcome. Thank you for coming to the live and let me know how you gone. Appreciate it. I've not seen your name before, so welcome. It's like you're a first timer. SX passed last week. You're welcome. Thank you for coming to the live. Out of context, okay. There's always questions out of context on the theory test, and sometimes what I'm noticing more and more is the way they're worded. There are actually certain questions, as I said to my students in the study camp, they don't give you the full information they expect you to know this. Like, for example, one-way roads, one-way streets, they don't tell you it's 3 lanes. They just say one way, and they expect you to know that it's 3 lanes. So when they talk about one-way streets, one-way roads, it's 3 lanes they are talking about, not one. Same thing with motorways and dual carriageways. They don't tell you it's 3 lanes all the time. My drum shops never mentioned this. I can't comment on that. You should do, as part of your cockpit drill. So when you have your very first lesson, we talk about cockpit drills as well as the pedals, and I'll show you that in a minute when I go through the driving test report sheet. There's an A there. Hazard warning lights. Is that an option? It is. Right, the majority of you have gone for B. There's a couple of A's on there. Variable message signs. Right, let me break this down because some of you went for A. You're driving through a long tunnel. What will warn you of congestion or an incident ahead? Hazard warning lights don't warn you of congestion. It warns you of a problem coming. It's normally, hazard warning lights normally is a bend or give way line. It's the 2 obvious places where you see warning lines, but it's not warning you of congestion. It's variable message where they can change that message to anything and everything. That's what it is, but it's not hazard warning lines. Right, so that is that. So as I mentioned at the beginning, for those of you that was here, let me get rid of this. Most of the questions, again, that's why you read the questions very carefully. As I mentioned at the beginning, 50 question mock test is made up of 14 different categories. So you can see the categories this 20 question mock test was made up of. Safety margins, road and traffic, well, safety margins 2, road and traffic science 6 questions for a 20 question mock test. That's a lot. Hazard awareness 2, documents 1, safety in vehicle 4, alertness 1, vehicle handling 1, motorway rules 1, attitude 1, incidents, accidents and emergencies 1. That's 10 different categories there in a 20 question mock test. On your real test, 50 questions, you will have questions from all 14 of the categories because they're testing your general knowledge. And that's the reason why I say study each category, because if I was weak on road signs and I got 6 wrong, I'm already now down to 44 out of 50, which means I can't really make any silly mistakes, because you have to factor in just making a silly mistake similar to what this person did. I can't get the comment back up for some reason. When they said they thought they read it as hazard warning lights, not hazard warning lines. So we all make mistakes, silly ones, but you can't afford to make silly ones if you got weak categories on there. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys who are studying, and why I say study the categories individually. Just make this bigger. Happiness. I've not seen your name before, so welcome to you first and foremost. Silent follower, so that's the reason why. And pass your favorite test. Congratulations on passing. Thank you for coming to the live and let me know. 45 out of 50 and 50 out has perception. Well done. Sorry to hear that, Mr. I was going to ask after the live. I'm assuming, yeah, I wasn't well last week, but thank you. I appreciate that. And your driving test is April. About 5 months away, give or take. It seems far away, but it's not. It'll fly by once Christmas is gone with that. So let me just quickly break this down for you before I do a hazard perception, so you can see how this is all linked together. Let me just get my iPad out. Let's get rid of this. Let's go. Right, so there's a driving test report sheet. So pass or fail, you get a copy of this. They email it to you because they've gone to iPads as examiners. So your hazard perception is box 17 mainly. Traffic signs, road markings, traffic lights, traffic controllers, other road users. There was a bus lane sign, if you remember, a 24/7, you can't use it. So if you didn't know what that sign meant, you could get marked down for position normal driving, because if the time was that you could use it, you want to stay left when possible. So that means you could drive through the bus lane. And if you didn't drive through the bus lane, it would get marked as number 23, position normal driving. So like I said, you need to know what road markings mean so you can deliver what they are saying in that situation. Parking on the left where you should park zigzags 10 meters in the junction, that would be position normal stops when they get to park up on the left. So that's the boxes it will get marked up on. You know, your hazard perception is your mirrors, because if you didn't know, the clicks on the hazard perception is the equivalent of you checking the mirrors. So it's box 14, before you signal, before you change direction, and before you change your speed. That's what they're trying to do, is get you or encourage you to use your mirrors every time you see a problem. And you need to see it nice and early, hence why the video start from 5 going down to 1. Because if your brain saw the problem in real life, I'm talking about, saw the problem at 2 or 1, the brain is designed to protect you. So the brain will go for the brake first and then check the mirrors after. That's where you're going to get marked down on your driving test for a mirror fault. So what they're trying to say is see the problem nice and early. Anything 6 seconds, 7 seconds, 8 seconds, if the road's long enough and clear enough, see the problem, check mirror. See the problem, check mirror. That's what it comes down to. And just explain what a hazard is. A hazard is anything that's going to cause you to slow down or change direction. Because if you're slowing down, you need to check your rear view mirror. If you're changing direction, it's your rear view plus the equivalent door mirror. So if you're moving to the right, it's rear view, right door mirror. If you're moving left, main mirror, left door mirror. That's what it comes down to. And someone said their instructor never spoke to them about the headrest. Again, I can't comment on that because I'm not on your driving lessons, but let me just quickly show you. Because the very first lesson is your cockpit drill. So we talk about closing the doors. We talk about setting the seat up for you to drive. If for those of you doing manual anyway, reaching the clutch pedal. And then we talk about setting up the steering. And part of that setup of the steering is checking the headrest to make sure it's correctly adjusted. It's part of your cockpit drill. So you should be doing that every time you get in the car, moving the headrest if it's necessary, to make sure it's comfortable for you to drive said vehicle. So it's something that you need to take up with your instructor if they haven't mentioned it. But like I said, if you've done your driving lessons along with your theory, this would have been covered, even down to the seatbelts. You, as this theory test question, you are responsible for anyone age 14 and under. So even with that, I relate it to the theory test, your seatbelt, putting it on. So as I said, the driving and the theory go hand in hand when you're doing that. So hopefully that all makes sense with everybody. So let me just catch up with the comments and then I'll do a hands perception demonstration. You've got here, second question, what I did wrong. How do you know it was wrong? First of all, if you're talking about the real test, because it doesn't tell you what question you got wrong, it just tells you the categories. But anyway, second question, what I did wrong was in the theory video clip question and about double red lines. Who is not allowed to stop on double red lines? There were 4 options. Which one should I have selected? You give me no options, but you want me to tell you which one of the 4 that you should have clicked it. That doesn't make sense. You have given me no options. How am I supposed to know what the options were? But based on the information you're giving me, if it's double red, double yellows, nobody. The answer is no one, because it's double. But I'm giving you based on the question you're giving me and not out of the options you had, because you didn't give me the options. But if you're breaking it down in simple terms, general simple terms, safety, no one should be parking on the double or red routes. And that's why it's double. And the other question to that, what's it for? The double reds, double yellows, is to ease congestion, help traffic flow, just in case that one comes up in a different way. What app are you using? Driving Test Success. Always use Driving Test Success. Apart from the study camp, I use the Theory Test Pro because I can monitor the students' progress. I've got the instructor's version of Theory Test Pro, but I'm using Driving Test Success. Let me show you if I can share my screen again. I don't know if you can see it. You probably can't see it here. It's on there. Let me just move it across. There you go, Driving Test Success, which is otherwise known as the 4-in-1 app. Always use that. I only use stuff that I recommend. I don't recommend stuff that I haven't used. So just going through the comments. Pass. Okay, so you passed your theory test. Congratulations, 44 out of 50. That's a low score. First of all, positive, well done. But I will revisit the categories just in case it's, again, road signs or road markings on that, because you need to know what your road markings are. Oh, you actually gave options: bus driver, taxi. Bus driver, taxi driver, car drivers, and pedal cyclists. If that's the case, it's going to be bus drivers, because buses can stop at bus stops if that's the case. Taxi drivers shouldn't stop in there. You know, they can drop, or car drivers definitely not. Ooh, saying that cyclists could stop there as well, can't they? I'll have to see the context of the question, how exactly worded, because the way you're wording it is really confusing. Because stopping and parking is 2 different things. You're saying stop. See if I can find you. Sorry, let me see if I can find. I can't see it. The original question. Stopping and parking is 2 different things. So I need to see the exact wording of the question, because that would determine on the answer. If it's stop, as in traffic, anyone can stop there. If it's parking, the only people that can park there would be a bus. And even then, that shouldn't be. But I'm not going to dwell on that because, like I said, I don't know the context of the question. Right, let me do a hazard perception demonstration. So let me just quickly clarify again. Let's get rid of this. Hazard perception, 14 videos, 13 of them have single hazards. One of them's got a double, 2 5s. and you're looking, there's two types of hazards on the videos. There's the developing hazard that actually causes you to slow down or change direction. And there's potential, it could have been a problem. For those of you that watched the videos back, it's the yellow circle. It could have been, but it wasn't. But they still want you to check your mirrors on that. So you're looking for the one that's going to cause you to slow down or shift left or right. And then when you see the problem, you want to click and then count 1, 2, and click again. And the reason why, what they don't tell you is that if you click too early, you're going to get a 0. They just say, see early, click, and that automatically gives you a 5. It doesn't. You can see it early and it could be too early, get a 0. By clicking 2 times per problem, you should guarantee yourself a minimum of 3 at least. And that's the way it works. And you need to average at least a 3 across the board. That's why you click twice. So see the problem, click 1, and then go 1, 2, and click again. If the first click was too early, they'll give you, obviously the second click will count, but if the first click was a 5 and the second click was a 3, they will always give you the highest score. So there's no benefit in clicking once. Lots of cons, but no benefits. All right, so let me share my screen. I'm going to do Rule R51, no stars on that. So if you take a look in the distance, you've got cars parked up on the left, so I've got to be a meter from the car. So I'm going to check my mirror and click, in other words. Looking in the distance, try to look beyond the silver car. You've got the van signalling. I don't know if it's got hazard lights on or a signal. You've got zebra crossing. Again, check your mirror. So that's caused me to slow down. So that I should get marked down for, but keep going because you don't know if it's your double. Again, look in the distance. You've got a car over the white line coming towards me because the road's narrow. So if he's on my side of the road, again, car's coming on my side of the road. And the van's even further. Less space, less speed is what we say with driving lessons. So if they're on my side of the road, I'm going to need to slow down. Car coming out. Oops. Was 10 out of 10. Wow. So always review back to see if you can improve. Let me just speed up for the sake of the video. Just get it there. So those 2 clicks was for the van because it's got lights on. I don't know if it's his hazard lights or his indicator is going to move out. Zebra. Oh, there you go. Look. Right. Too early. Zebra crossing. There's my first click for the zebra crossing. And then I go 1, 2, and there's my second click. And that's the reason why you go for 2 clicks. So let me just rewind that back because I did say zebra crossing when I was talking out loud. Boom, I've clicked. I've seen it, I've clicked. But that would have been too early. And this is why I stress you go for 2 clicks per problem. It's not whether you see it or not. It's whether you get a score or not. That's the key to the whole thing. So someone right at the beginning of the live said, I know what a hazard is, and I got 42. You may know what a hazard is, but you're not clicking at the right moments. And that's what I was trying to get across. So just because you know what the problem is, it doesn't mean that you're clicking at the right times, hence why your score was low. And this is why you go for 2 clicks per problem. So anyway, there's my second click, so 5. And then we move on to the next problem. Okay, let me just speed up for the sake of the video. So the car's over the white line, is in my space, so I need to slow down. And then the car coming towards me is in my space over the white line. So there's my first click, and my second click was a 3. But they gave me the highest score, so I'm already now +4 going forwards, because remember, you need to average 3. So if I've got 10 for that, minimum I want on this is 6 on average. And I've already +4, so I can afford to drop a couple of marks here or there based on this score so far. Let me come out of this. Right, let's just see what you guys are saying. Hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't, type in the comment section. I'll do another one, a CGI one, so the quality is better. Congratulations on passing 48 out of 50, missed it by 2. 56 out of 75, so well done, congratulations. Thank you for turning up to the live and let me know. I really appreciate you taking the time out to do that. Right, there's no comments in there, so I'm assuming you guys are all happy with the has perception. I'll do another one. Go CGI. Let's choose one. CGI. Let's do this one. I'm not seeing this before. No stars. Again, try to look as far as you can see. There's something in the road up there. I don't know what it is. I'm going to click on it anyway. If in doubt, click. And then keep scanning from pavement to pavement because that's where road signs are. The van's reversing out. I'm going to go for another one just to make sure. If in doubt, go for a third click. There's nothing wrong with that. Again, keep scanning, could be a double. The road sign's telling me the road bends to the left, but I can see that. He's braking, so I don't know what's around it. So it'd be always, what if there's something around the bend? Again, 5 out of 5. Again, always review to see if you could improve. Let me just speed it up for the sake of the video. Just there. So let me just show you here. I can see something in the road and I can't work out what it is. So I'm not taking anything to chance. I'm just clicking. Boom, saw the problem. Clicked again. So there's 2 things in the road. It turned out to be pedestrians when I got closer. And then the van started to reverse out. So here's the van reversing. And there's my first click. There's my second. I think I went for a third as well, just to make sure. So I got a 5, a 4, and a 2. But they give you the highest score every time. And vast advantage of clicking twice. So let me just see what you guys are saying. I've just done that, so hopefully that's all right. Is it? I don't mention seconds. You guys keep putting seconds in there. I just say count 1, 2. If it works out to be 2 seconds, so be it. But I never, if you watch my videos, I never say 2 seconds. I always say just count 1, 2, and that's it. You guys are adding seconds into what I'm saying. I don't give you seconds. Literally just count 1, 2, boom. Because if you can't, measuring 2 seconds is, you guys make things complicated. All I'm saying is this. Let me keep it very, very simple and let me keep it very straightforward. I don't add seconds. I'm not saying count 1 second, 2 seconds, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. All I'm saying to you is you count, you click, and you go 1, 2. And that's it. If that works out to be 2 seconds, that's a coincidence. I'm not adding a time to it. Just literally 1, 2, boom. All I'm saying is don't do 1, 2. Because if the first one's too early, the second one could be too early. You do with what you want with that information I've just given you, but I'm not adding seconds to it in that sense. Right, I don't see any other comments on there. So I'm assuming you guys are happy with the has perception. But I repeat, you guys are studying at home. So if you're studying, trial and error is not a bad thing. Practice what's good for you. If 2 clicks works, fine. If you want to do 3 clicks and it works for you, again, fine. I'm giving you basic skills. You have to adapt it to your style of learning because not everybody loves apps. People like books. For me reading a book, I wouldn't take that information because I'm not a book reader because of how my brain works. Because I've got dyslexia. I like to see images. So me doing the apps with different images and all the rest of it, it works for me. So like I said, you have to do what's right for you. But remember, you're studying, so there's no right or wrong way. All you're trying to do is get to the same solution like everybody else, which is a pass in the end of the day. So if that means that you study for 10 minutes at a time, then fine. If you feel like you can study for an hour and have quality an hour, then study for an hour. Me personally, based on the stats, because I do it every week, I don't see an hour studying. Back in the day, yeah, it was quality, but now with the way things are, an hour learning, I just see students' results getting worse with the hour because it's not structured learning. It's not quality learning. It's just mass learning. And as I said, the more you do the apps, the same questions come up, and subconsciously you guys are memorizing the answers. Not deliberately, you're memorizing the answers subconsciously. So when you go for the real test, even though you felt you put the work in, the question's worded differently. The brain doesn't understand the question, just understands the words, how they're structured together. It doesn't see that structure. That's why panic sets in, and that's why the fail comes in. So you guys have to do you. And the only way to do that is trial and error, practicing at home. Could you please teach me how to flag a question in the mock test? When you do a question, there's a flag at the bottom of the, I don't know, and saying that, sorry, in saying that, I only use the driving test success app. I've not used the DVSA app or any other app for a long while. In the new year, I will use some of those apps and probably do a video on it, because I want to get back to filming more videos for you guys rather than just lives every Sunday. So I can't talk for the other apps. All right, tell you what, since we're here, let me see if I can get questions up. So, share screen. Right, like I said, I only use the 4-in-1 app, otherwise known as driving test success. So, theory test, mock test. Right, so you can hopefully consider it on screen. What restrictions apply if you're towing a trailer on a 3-lane motorway? Let's just say, argument's sake, I didn't know what the answer was. What you just do, to go to the bottom and flag it, literally that. You can see right at the bottom, it's turned to green. I've unflagged it. I flagged it, it's gone to green. And literally pick an answer and then you move on. And then you just do that all the way through. If you know the answer, leave it unflagged. If you don't know the answer, flag it. And then when you get to the 50th question, it will ask you, do you want to review your flagged ones? And you say yes, it takes you directly to the first flagged question. And then you can now spend more time that you know you've got remaining. So if you've got 15 minutes left and you only flagged 3, so you know you can roughly say, what, 5 minutes per flagged one. And that way it just keeps you a little bit calmer. And that's how you flag. But it's very simple. As you can see, the flag is at the bottom of the screen. But I don't know how it is on the other apps. That's the only thing I will say. I'm assuming it's the same, but that's what I said, I'm assuming. I don't use the other apps because I find driving to success is user friendly. So hopefully that makes sense. But as I said, yeah, at home practice. It's not always about getting 50 out of 50. Sometimes it's nice to fail a test to see how your mentality is, whether you feel like giving up, frustrated, blah, blah, blah. It makes you stronger in the long run rather than passing. You don't learn anything from that. You learn more about when things go wrong. Builds character. But hopefully that all makes sense for you guys. I don't see any other comments on here. So I'm going to say to you guys, so let me just get rid of this. Having a coughing fit. My faction guy, I've not seen your name before, so welcome to you first of all. Hey man, I just wanted to reach out to you. Failed my test first time, 41. I passed second time, 46 out of 50, 62 out of 75, I think. you're welcome. And thank you for coming to the live session. Let me know. Right, I just failed theory test yesterday. 8 questions wrong. 5 categories minimum that you would have got wrong. Just need to restudy those categories and go again from there. For those of you that's in the study camp, you should have got an announcement. Look out for the link. I'm going to go in and set the link up now. You should get there by 12:30, and I'll see you in the live session at 1 o'clock. I'm going to grab something to eat and a cough me. For the rest of you, enjoy the rest of your week. Stay safe, most importantly. Hopefully, again, health being permitted, I'll be back here next week with you guys. But stay safe. For those of you who got a test coming up this week, I wish you the best of luck with that. And remember, read the questions and answers very, very carefully and go for the safest option possible. If you're not sure, flag it, move on, and then go back to the flagged ones. But guys, take care of yourself, look after yourself, and I'll see you next week. Take care.